Huh? Wait, what am I doing here? Oh, I did say I was gonna do that, didn't I? Well, got nothing better to do. Well, hello? I'm Latrell Total Drama, and I know it's been a minute since I've posted, and I was going to work on Total Drama YouTuber Action, but I also got stuck in working on episode 4 of Total Drama Return to the Island, and I decided a quick video like this would be a way to satisfy everyone before I start working on either of those. I said 5 months ago when I posted Total Drama All Stars my way that I might do an explanation for the teams later, as they were highly, and I mean highly different from how the actual show was. And not to mention the fact that there were 8 other contestants and some removed and some added. So let's get into that. Alright, so after getting my list of the teams, since it's been 5 months since I made that video, so I clearly had a hard time remembering who was on what team, let's start with the Heroic Hamsters, because I'm just going to go from left to right from the list I have. The first member was Brick, and that was kind of clear why he was a Heroic Hamster. He never did anything villainous in order to put him on the anti-heroes, and he was never completely villainous, so the Heroic Hamsters was the only place for him. Same thing goes for Bridget, Cameron, and Dawn. Jasmine, she was kind of rude to Sean, but then again, it was a misunderstanding, and that doesn't really lead to anything villainous. Lindsay, she cursed out Heather, so you could say that was villainous, but she deserved it. Then there's Mike, and again, it was kind of obvious. Never really did anything awful, just his alternate personalities, and those don't really count as him, so. And with Trent, he never really did anything specifically awful. He was just kind of weird, and knowing Garcia will probably put him on the anti-heroes for that, but honestly, I already had 8 people set for the anti-heroes, and I didn't want to put any team at an advantage or disadvantage. Dang, I got through that one faster than I thought I would. Next up is the villainous vultures. Alejandro is obvious. Again, most of these are obvious, I'm going to be for real. Alejandro was obvious because he was the main antagonist. Any main antagonist of a season, 9 times out of 10, is going to be on the villainous vultures. Actually, yeah, all the main antagonists from the previous seasons were on the villainous vultures. That includes Alejandro, Courtney, Heather, and Scott. And Topher. I forgot I had Pagato before All Stars for a minute. Everyone else just committed a lot of villainous acts and never really had any good in them, so that's why they're on the villainous vultures. Those being Topher, Scarlet, and Joe. Okay, now with the anti-hero alligators. I forgot what I named that team. Starting with Dave. Yeah, he was. While you could say he could be put on the Heroic Hamsters or the Villainous Vultures, making any argument, those arguments are both very good, which is why I put him on the anti-heroes. Dave was actually the reason I made the anti-heroes, because I was thinking I couldn't put him on one team without someone in the comments say, oh, why'd you put him on this team instead of the other? Yeah. And also, he committed a few good and a few villainous acts. Like, and actually dead saying he was gonna burn the money that if Sky won, or if he won, I don't remember that episode. And since the finale was the same as in the actual show with Pocket Island My Way, I would assume that still happened. And aside from that, Bro can just be mad rude at times. Yeah, honestly, he kind of deserved to be here. Like, I was originally going to put 2 teams and just have 12 people each, but I decided, Jesus Christ, that would be a long season. Like, longer than how All Stars My Way actually was. So, yeah, I get it's the same amount of people, but still. Alright, that's enough explanation for Dave. I do not want to talk about him anymore. Nothing against him, I just do not like him as a character. Then there's Duncan. Yeah, kind of obvious. He committed some good acts, like getting DJ a new bunny, and he was pretty much the reason the main antagonist got eliminated in Total Drama Action. And I count any reason that the main antagonist got eliminated in a season, if there was a certain person who was the reason for it, then yeah, I count that as a good act. And in Total Drama World Tour My Way, he exposed Alejandro for the snake he is, and him and Bridget defeated Heather back in Island. But he has committed some villainous acts like manipulating Lindsay to vote Lashana in Total Drama Action My Way, and many more that honestly I don't feel like going over. The reason I put him on the Heroic Hamsters after, oh yes, by the way, I will be bringing up any team swaps in the video too. The reason he was put on the Heroic Hamsters is because while he has done like a good majority of both villainous and heroic acts, he's done more heroic acts than villainous enough for me to put him on this list. I also did put him on the anti-heroes because he did team up with Alejandro and Heather for an episode, and he was dating the main antagonist of season 2. Oh my god. And another reason I would have kept, probably wouldn't have swapped him to the villainous vultures is because from the beginning, I was going to have Duncan, like, opposing against the main antagonist of the season, which is Mal. I would talk way too much about Duncan, Jesus Christ. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of it. With Gwen, she was part of the anti-heroes kind of for the same reason as Duncan, committed a few villainous and a few heroic acts. While it was mostly heroic acts, I wanted to put her on the villains team, just because I've noticed this in every season both of these two have competed in. Gwen and Heather have always been on the same team. Like, no matter what, like, it somehow just happens. I did not want to, like, break that streak because it was happening in the My Ways that I made too. Which is also why I put Heather on the same team as Gwen in Total Drama Return to the Island. Other than that, I put her on the villainous vultures just because I already knew what I was gonna do, like with the Corny and Dawn swap, and I honestly didn't want to uneven anything. Yeah, speaking of which, Dawn swapped over to the villainous vultures because if no one was paying attention in episode like 5 or 4, Dawn, the blue moon affected Dawn's nature powers as she's connected to nature. And instead of bringing Mal out, it brought out a dark side of Dawn, which, because I honestly, personally, I realized this part of the All Stars My Way actually connects to a theory that Dawn is scarier from the new cast in the Total Drama Island reboot. I didn't even notice that, but if that is true, then the All Stars My Way would have connected those two without even knowing. Like, Jesus Christ. And the reason I had Corny swap to the Heroic Hamsters is because Duncan and Corny have only ever been on the same team once. And because I was having Duncan and Corny get back together, I thought, yeah, I should probably switch Corny over to the Heroic Hamsters. Even though she definitely didn't deserve to be, I had her become a better person overall in that season. Okay. Back to the anti-heroes. I put Lightning in the anti-heroes because he committed some heroic acts and some villainous acts. Like, one of his heroic acts, I would say, is probably fighting off mutant Zeke, and I would say helping out, I don't know. I don't even know. I just put him on the anti-heroes because I already had a team set for villains. It's kind of like the same place Dave is in. Yeah, so I don't need much more explanation. With Max. Max, honestly, you could argue that if I did put just 2 teams, Max would be on the heroes, and you would be right. I would have put him on the heroes. But the reason I put him on the anti-heroes is because Chris would at least acknowledge the fact that he wants to be evil, but says he isn't going to be there ever, so he puts him on the anti-heroes. Also, it was a good way to set up his elimination in a comic relief type of way, because Max was always a comic relief type of character, in my opinion. And, yeah, I don't think that's... I think that's enough for Max. With Sean, honestly, I would say, for how he acted in Pocket Town Island and towards the end, like saying that he didn't want to split the money with Jasmine and all that stuff, yada yada yada, but then he changed his mind and he sacrificed himself for Jasmine and all that stuff. And he was also trying to help out Dave when Sky swapped teams. Wait, that didn't happen in the My Way. Oh, right. I don't care at this point anyway. But, Yeah, he's committed a few villainous acts out of pure fear and a few heroic acts out of the goodness of his heart, so yeah. And Scott, she pretty much had the exact same story arc as in the actual Pocket Town Island, so I feel like I don't need to go over it, but because Pocket Town Island is Pocket Town Island, I'm going over it, because who actually cared about that season enough to remember most of it? Sky committed a few villainous acts, like just straight up yelling at Dave and all that stuff, and okay, that was a bullcrap move that she kissed Dave just so she would help him in the finale. Like, bro, or at least tell him the truth. Like, okay, I'm getting off topic here, but since her story arc was pretty much the same as it was in the actual Pocket Town Island, I feel there's no more need to explain. And, I'm at the last one on my list, right? Zoe. Well, you could argue that I could have put someone like, I don't know, Trent on the anti-heroes and put Zoe on the road campsters. I thought it was a good way to show that Zoe isn't dependent on people by separating her from Mike for a few episodes. And also making it so she isn't as dumb to noticing the mouth thing because she wouldn't have been on the same team as Mike when the whole mouth thing started. Because I do like Zoe as a character, so I didn't want to disrespect her like that. And also her commando form. That's the perfect excuse I found to put Zoe on the anti-heroes. Because of her commando form, she was almost ready to abandon Cameron to die by a plant. A plant that Chris, I'm not even going to say because I don't want this video to be taken down. Anyway. And honestly, the insults in her commando Zoe were so funny and so ruthless that I just had to put on the anti-heroes. I think that's pretty much it for the video. I think I went over all the team swaps too. Yeah, I did go over all the team swaps. Alright, that's it. So, I hope you enjoyed this video.